There's a lot happening in the Leesburg, Virginia and Loudoun County real estate market. The market is a great microcosm of everything that is going on in the larger economy. And it's fascinating to me to see how the housing market reacts to changes in consumer demand and reacts to changes in monetary policy. So today I'm going to zoom out a little bit and look at the market with a wider lens. Let's start with home builder sentiment. Home builder sentiment in the United States for the 9th month in a row has decreased. It's the longest stretch of monthly declines going back to 1985. A big reason for this, obviously, is mortgage rates, which as of last week are now tipping 7%. It's the highest level since 2008 and more than double the average rate a year ago. It also represents the largest one-year change since data was available in 1975. To give you a perspective of how much of an outlier this increase is, consider the second highest year-over-year increase was in 1981. And that increase was a mere half of what we are experiencing right now. What home buyers are now paying for mortgage is way up. There's no way around that. Data from the National Association of Realtors shows the monthly mortgage payment used in the median U.S. house price and assuming a 20% down payment is now over $2,000. That's up from just $986 just 2 years ago. Another example that is more relevant to Loudoun County, the principal and interest on a $500,000 loan for 30 years at 2.65% was just over $2,000 back in January of 2021. As of today, at 7%, that mortgage is costing $3,300. And that doesn't factor into home price appreciation. In 10 of the major metro regions in the country, the monthly payment for the median price property has more than doubled since the pandemic. 2 years ago, the 30-year mortgage rate was 2.87%, and the average new home price was $408,000. Today, a 30-year mortgage is 7.04%, and the average new home price is $525,000. The result? A $28,000 increase in the down payment and a 96% increase in the monthly mortgage payment. Another way to put it, the median U.S. household would need to spend 44% of their income to afford the payments on the median priced home, the highest percentage on record with data going back to 2006. Let's take a look at the housing sector and how it's connected to the larger economy. Consider owner equivalent rent. Owner equivalent rent is basically what you would pay to rent your own home. The reason why it's so important is because 24% of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, comes from this number. Yesterday, October 13th, the Fed released the CPI numbers for September, and they were significantly worse than what anybody expected. The overall index climbed 8.2% in September versus the prior year. And the core index rose 6.6%, the fastest pace since 1982. The owner equivalent rent increased 7.2% alone. So here's my opinion. The Fed is 100% committed to breaking inflation and will continue with the rate hikes until they do so. Forbes magazine gives the odds of another 75 basis point increase next month at 95%. Increasing mortgage rates will force housing price declines, and we are seeing that right now. Here in the Mid-Atlantic region, 40% of all listings have reduced their list price. As fewer people can afford the down payment and mortgage, they essentially take themselves out of the market. Are we headed for a correction? Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if we did. A crash, now that's a little bit harder for me to see. Back in 2008 and 2009, homeowners had so little equity. As soon as their house was worth less than what they owed, they would just walk away from it and leave the property to the bank to figure out. The result in a ton of supply in the market. That isn't the case right now. Homeowners have mostly a healthy amount of equity. There is no incentive for any of them to walk away from their home. And the overall supply remains really tight. Anything is possible, but I just don't see it considering how tight supply is right now. In the future, if that changes, then a major correction could definitely be on the table. That wraps up my October market update. I know it's not exactly the news you want to hear, but it's information that I feel you need to hear, especially if you're considering buying or selling a home within the next year or so. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd be glad to chat.